Hello, I'm Doug Jones with Michelin North America. Emergency roadside service can be very hazardous, so Michelin has partnered with the Tire Industry Association to bring you this very important safety message.
Hello, I'm Pete Bellotta, and welcome to another cutting-edge training program from the Tire Industry Association. TIA is committed to providing commercial tire technicians with educational resources that promote safety in the shop as well as on the highway. Today, we're going to show you how to work safely out of a professional service truck. In addition to covering roadside safety procedures, we're going to show you how to work safely in a parking lot and an off-the-road situation. Now, we've got a lot ahead, so let's get started.
The typical professional tire service truck has all of the necessary tools and equipment to service tires and wheels on a wide variety of vehicles. There are three basic types of service vehicle: emergency road service, fleet service, and farm OTR service. The emergency road service truck is typically about the size of a pickup and can only haul a small number of tires at one time. With a shorter wheelbase and better turning radius, it can more easily be maneuvered in traffic, parking lots, or on job sites. Perhaps the most popular and versatile road service truck is one designed for fleet service. The combination of a hydraulic liftgate and a large bed makes it ideal for delivering a large number of tires. It can still be safely used to perform emergency road service, but it is best suited for servicing multiple tires at multiple locations. Off-the-road vehicles like large farm tractors and earth-moving equipment require a specialized vehicle with unique capabilities. The OTR service truck has a hydraulic tire hand or articulating boom to handle the tires and may include a pump to remove and install liquid ballast.
Regardless of the type of service truck you're operating, you need to be aware that when you earn a living out of one of these vehicles, basic maintenance is critically important.
Every vehicle over 26,000 pounds GVWR must receive a pre-trip inspection on a daily basis. While inspections on vehicles under the weight limit are not required by law, they still play an important role in risk management. The pre-trip inspection should begin with the lights, amber beacon, turn signals, and the vital fluids, like the engine oil. Other items that should be inspected prior to each workday include the horn, windshield wipers, washer fluid, and engine coolant. Since the air compressor is by far one of the most critical pieces of equipment on the vehicle, the oil or fluid level should also be checked on a regular basis. With the air system fully charged and the vehicle completely shut down, inspect the regulator, filter, hose reels, and end fittings for any leaks. Professional service trucks always include a hydraulic liftgate, so technicians should inspect the operating lift in both directions. It's also important to make sure that the liftgate is securely shut so it won't come open while the vehicle is moving. Road service trucks often operate in areas where a lot of debris is on the ground. This makes the tires prime candidates for punctures and other injuries. So the inflation pressure must be checked as early in the day as possible. Drivers should also periodically check the tread depth.
Trucks with a gross vehicle weight rating of 10,000 pounds or greater are required to have a minimum tread depth of 430 seconds on the front tires and 230 seconds on the rears. For trucks less than 10,000 pounds, the minimum tread depth requirement is 230 seconds on all tires.
Once the vehicle passes inspection, the driver should check the basic safety equipment like the fire extinguisher, reflective triangles, flares, hard hat, and reflective vest. Every service truck also needs a basic first aid kit. In addition to bandages and antibacterial products, it's a good idea to include eye wash. Technicians should never service any type of tire assembly without wearing proper eye protection. A pair of heavy work gloves can prevent injuries when handling rims or tires with exposed steel cables. Another important risk management tool for every service vehicle is an accident investigation kit that includes a form for reporting vital information at the time of the accident, such as road and weather conditions, as well as a disposable camera to record the damage to both vehicles. Like most of the mechanical components on a service truck, the impact wrench also needs regular maintenance. The best time to apply air tool oil is at the end of the day, so the internal components are protected from corrosion due to airline moisture.
Speaking of airlines, make sure to open the air drain valve and discharge the system completely before driving the vehicle. Now, this is important because driving the vehicle with a pressurized air system could be a safety hazard if the vehicle is involved in an accident. Draining the air system is also important to prevent moisture from accumulating in the tanks, which is a common cause for air tool damage.
According to Occupational Safety and Health Administration Regulation 29 CFR 1910.177, the portable safety cage must be inspected prior to each day's use. Technicians should look for any cracks, excessive corrosion, or bent components. OSHA also requires a restraining device to be able to withstand a tire explosion that occurs at 150% of the maximum tire inflation. If the restraining device is damaged, it must be recertified by the manufacturer or a professional engineer to ensure it meets OSHA strength requirements.
Before we discuss the actual procedures for working out of a road service truck, let's talk about basic driver safety.
Every service truck must have a seat belt, and drivers should use it at all times. It's also important to keep the passenger compartment of the truck as clean as possible. Impact wrenches, tools, and other equipment in the cab can become projectiles in the event of an accident. Since improperly secured cargo can cause load shifting and lead to a loss of control, all tires being transported should be properly secured according to the service truck manufacturer. The safety cage and other equipment should also be stored and secured. Whenever possible, tires should be transported in a deflated or partially inflated condition. Fully inflated tires can create a serious hazard if they fall off a truck at any speed. While we're on the subject of speed, the stopping ability of a service truck depends on a number of factors. Besides wet or slippery road conditions, the number of tires being transported will also have a direct effect on the required stopping distance. For those reasons, drivers should always maintain a safe following distance from the vehicle directly in front of the truck. If the truck is loaded with tires and wheels on a rainy or snowy day, drivers will need more space to bring the truck to a complete stop.
You can ensure you're a safe distance from the car ahead of you by following the 3-second rule. To determine the right following distance, first, select a fixed object on the road like a sign, tree, or overpass. When the vehicle ahead of you passes the object, slowly count 1 1,000, 2 1,000, 3 1,000. If you reach the object before completing the count, you're following too closely. Making sure there are 3 seconds between you and the car ahead also gives you time and distance to respond to problems in the lane ahead of you.
The 3-second rule applies to dry road conditions during daylight hours. During inclement weather, nighttime driving, or heavy traffic, drivers should increase the following distance to 6 seconds. If the weather is exceptionally poor, such as heavy rain, snow, or fog, the following distance should be increased to 9 seconds.
Service trucks that operate in climates where snow is present during the winter months should be equipped with traction tires. These tires provide additional grip, which makes stopping a loaded vehicle much easier.
Cell phones have become the preferred method for communicating with service personnel in the field. Handheld devices can be a distraction if they are used while driving the vehicle, so drivers should stop and pull off the road when making or receiving calls. While hands-free devices have become more popular because of the perceived benefit of minimizing distractions, studies have shown that drivers are 4 times more likely to have an accident while driving and talking on the phone, regardless of the type of device. For this reason alone, technicians should always pull over to the side of the road when making or receiving phone calls on any type of cellular device. It's also important to note that New York, New Jersey, and Washington, D.C. have already outlawed the use of both handheld and hands-free cellular phones when driving, and other jurisdictions are considering bans as more crash data is made available. As the number of vehicles on the road continually increases, traffic congestion is becoming a major issue for most motorists. The most important thing to remember is to remain calm and not drive aggressively. Drivers that repeatedly change lanes and disobey posted speed limits are more likely to be involved in accidents and fender benders. Aggressive driving also leads to traffic citations. As a road service technician, your driver's license is critical to your career. Bad driving records also lead to higher insurance premiums for your company, so a history or pattern of traffic citations could put your employment at risk. One method for reducing the chances of an accident or a traffic citation is to plan your route to avoid heavily congested areas, construction zones, or rush hour when possible. Statistics have also shown that intersections and left-hand turns are typically more hazardous situations, so drivers should exercise extra caution when operating a service truck under these circumstances. Following a vehicle too closely is called tailgating. Tailgating is aggressive driving behavior that is easily mistaken for road rage. Most rear-end collisions are caused by the vehicle in back following too closely. If someone is tailgating you, move to another lane or turn off the road as soon as possible and allow the tailgating vehicle to pass. And whenever you change lanes, make sure you use your turn signals and always check your blind spot before switching lanes.
Responsible driving not only protects your driving record, it makes the road safer for other motorists. Now, let's look at how to position your service truck on the side of the road.
The first step is to make sure you have a safe place to work, particularly when working on wheel positions on the driver's side of the vehicle. Once you've determined the area to be safe, park your truck approximately 30 feet behind the disabled vehicle. Keep the wheels facing straight ahead, directly behind the disabled vehicle. Turning the wheels or parking the truck on an angle can be dangerous if the service truck is struck from behind by another vehicle. By keeping everything facing straight forward in a direct line with the other vehicle, only one area becomes a hazardous zone. Technicians should never get caught between two vehicles on any highway or road surface. Put the truck in park or neutral, apply the parking brake, and activate the hazard lights and amber beacon light if present. Before beginning to work on the disabled vehicle, technicians must place reflective triangles in the appropriate positions. On a divided highway, one triangle should be placed 10 feet behind the disabled vehicle, another triangle placed at 100 feet, and the final one placed at 200 feet. On a two-lane highway or road without a median, one triangle should be placed 100 feet in front, one triangle 10 feet behind, and the final one placed at 100 feet behind the disabled vehicle. In situations where the vehicle is located on a road without a median on a curve or near an obstruction, the triangle in the direction of the curve or obstruction may need to be more than 100 feet from the vehicle.
By the way, reflectors and/or reflective tape can be added to the service truck to make it more visible when it's parked on the side of the road. It's also a good idea to use reflectors when working in a parking lot or job site to make the truck more visible.
The typical trucking terminal usually has a lot of activity during the day. Spotters and drivers are not used to looking out for other smaller vehicles. When working in a drop lot at a terminal, the hazard and amber beacon lights should be activated at all times. Many times, the vehicle that needs tire service is identified by a number. Always make sure that you're working on the correct piece of equipment before starting the work. When parking between two trailers, never pull all the way back, and remember to leave your amber beacon and hazard lights on at all times. And remember, whenever backing up, always make sure you check both mirrors for any vehicles, obstructions, or people that may be behind the service truck. This is what the spotter driver sees when he goes to park a trailer in the open space. Notice that the service truck doesn't come into view until after the trailer is already being backed in. By leaving the hazard and amber beacon lights on at all times, it's easier for other drivers to see your service truck before it's too late. It's also a good idea to use the reflective triangles and wear a reflective vest, especially during late evening hours just after the sun sets. Most of these same principles can be applied to a parking lot, job site, or off-the-road situation. Making the service truck visible to all machine and equipment operators will reduce the chances of an accident. Unlike service calls on the side of the road, many job sites and parking lots give technicians more room to work and position the vehicle. Since most of the tool compartments are on the passenger side of the service truck, it's acceptable to park next to the disabled vehicle as long as there is enough room to work safely. Many job and construction sites are also designated areas where hard hats must be worn at all times. Technicians should always make sure that they have an approved hard hat.
One of the most dangerous aspects of road service is lifting and securing the vehicle. So before raising an axle or even just one side of the vehicle, check the area to make sure it's free of potential problems or hazards.
For example, lifting and securing a vehicle on the side of the highway can be hazardous when passing tractor and trailers create air turbulence. Regardless of the situation, technicians should always block one tire in both directions before raising a vehicle. When possible, use a pair of locking pliers to prevent mud flaps from becoming an additional hazard. Before attempting to lift an axle or wheel position, make sure you have a firm level surface for the jack and jack stand. A steel plate or blocks of wood can be used to increase the amount of surface area beneath the jack or jack stand. The jack should be placed directly under the axle or any component connected to the axle, such as the spring shackle or U-bolt. Once the vehicle has been lifted to a working height, the jack stand should be placed under the axle and the jack should be released until the entire load is supported by the jack stand. Never work on a vehicle that is only supported by a jack. When raising an entire axle on a vehicle, a jack stand must be used on both wheel positions to ensure the vehicle is stable. Never support the entire axle of a vehicle with a single jack or jack stand.
Now, let's look at some techniques used for lifting vehicles on different types of surfaces.
Steel plates and wood blocks are usually not necessary when lifting a vehicle on concrete because the surface does not give. But hot or recently paved asphalt is much softer, and a fully loaded vehicle can cause the jack or jack stand to sink as the axle or wheel end is being lifted. This causes the vehicle to lean and become unstable, which can lead to an accident. Likewise, a vehicle being lifted on bare, dry ground can also become unstable if the jack and jack stand are not placed on a firm surface like a steel plate or wood block. Working on vehicles located in areas where the ground is soft or unstable can be extremely dangerous. The best practice is to have the driver move the vehicle to a harder surface. If the vehicle cannot be moved, the load must be spread out over an area that is as large as possible, using multiple blocks or a combination of blocks and a steel plate.
Incidentally, even when the vehicle appears to be secure when supported by a jack stand, you still need to be extremely careful when removing or installing the tire wheel assembly.
Working on the driver's side of a vehicle is definitely one of the most hazardous aspects of emergency road service. If the disabled vehicle does not have enough room between the tire wheel assembly and the nearest traffic lane, stop. Have the driver move the vehicle to a safe location or contact the local authorities to request an officer to assist with traffic control. It's also important to make sure that the air hose is not in the path of any vehicle traffic, and tools such as impact wrenches are kept under the disabled vehicle when not in use. Selecting the service area is equally important to technician safety when working on the side of the road. Never work between the disabled vehicle and the service truck. If a passing motorist strikes the service truck, you will be crushed between the two vehicles.
Other reasons why you never want to work between two vehicles is because you'll be unable to see oncoming traffic. Plus, when you add in the sound of the engine and the compressor, it literally drowns out any potential warning sounds.
If there's enough room on the shoulder, the best place to work is along the passenger side of the service truck. Believe it or not, Another safe area to work if there's no room on the shoulder is directly behind the service truck. This gives technicians a clear view of traffic and an opportunity to get out of the way in case an oncoming car approaches from the rear. Another important reminder is to always work with your back to the service truck so you can be aware of any potential hazards. After the tire has been inflated to 20 psi in the safety cage and inspected for a potential zipper rupture, technicians should continue inflating the tire to the operating pressure with the valve core removed. Always inflate truck tires in a safety cage, regardless of construction or rim configuration. Make sure the cage is a safe distance from the work area. Never lean the assembly up against the service truck during or after the inflation process. Numerous technicians have been seriously injured or killed when tires outside the safety cage have ruptured or rims have separated. After the tire has been inflated, it's equally important to install the assembly with a proper amount of torque. Wheel-offs caused by improper torque or installation procedures often result in high property damage claims as well as severe bodily injuries. For more information on the correct installation and torque procedures for commercial trucks, refer to TIA's Keeping the Wheels On training video. Once the assembly has been installed and the vehicle is ready to be returned to service, the appropriate paperwork must be completed. Make sure you get the vehicle number or license plate recorded on the work order along with the wheel position and the date. In some instances, getting the driver's signature is the only way your company can get paid for the work you perform. If the driver is not available and you're working on a drop lot or in a terminal, make sure someone from the company signs the paperwork.
If the signature is not legible, ask the driver or company employee to spell out their first and their last name so you can write that information on the work order or invoice. When filling out the paperwork, never sit behind the wheel of the truck unless your seatbelt is fastened. Being in that position without your seatbelt fastened can get you seriously injured or even killed if the vehicle is rear-ended.
Finally, once the technician has returned to the shop, a complete post-trip inspection should take place that includes all lights and fluids. Supplies, such as wheel fasteners and repair materials, should also be restocked at the end of the day.
Although emergency road service can be extremely dangerous, following the guidelines we've covered in this program will significantly reduce your chance of having an accident. By being cautious, being aware of your surroundings, and utilizing plain old common sense, you'll ensure your safety for years to come. And remember, when you're looking for the latest in commercial tire training, look no further than the Tire Industry Association.
We hope this training video will help you work safer the next time you're on the side of the road. For Michelin North America, I'm Doug Jones. Thanks for watching.